What's up, guys? We're switching it up a bit and having a late night talk this time. So let's get right into it. Let's unwind. Topic of discussion today would be that our life is basically a script. And I may have alluded to this in other videos, but I guess we could dive a little deeper on this subject. Now, I don't know if you can hear that. I think that's a cricket or something. Something just went crazy. Why do I say our life is a script? Upon studying kind of the deeper aspects of transitioning after this life, such as near-death experiences, a lot of people account for having a much more real experience coming out of this life, right? Kind of like being engulfed in a video game and then returning to quote-unquote reality afterwards, right? It's like, oh, that felt real. Like, watching that movie felt real, felt like I was participating in their drama, in their emotions, in the drama of the play of life. But now that it's over, I see now that it was just a mirage, right? It was just a fake, a play, a movie. And we're back. We're back in the real world, the real spirit world, let's say, the astrals. But the thing is, something along the line happened, right? It happened in a way that the 4D, which used to be a construct or some way, it definitely kind of overlays this reality. So it's like when you create in the higher realms first, right? You have thought and it instantly manifests. That's why I say time really can be defined as the buffer between thought and manifestation, right? Because in higher realms, it's instant. There is no actual time. How we know it as, it's much quicker. It accelerates. The higher you go, the more it accelerates. And that's why it's kind of a privilege to be in these higher realms, because you have, let's say, more control, more dominion over yourself. You have more sovereignty. You've chosen to maintain your power rather than give it away. Okay. So in a sense, that's kind of, I guess, what has happened here. We've given away our power to participate in this play script of life. So when I say your life is scripted, at some level you agreed, whether you were deceived or not, we'll get into that in a second, but you agreed to take part in a play because you may or may not have been convinced that it is for the greater good, or it is for the better of humanity, or you have some sort of mission, this and that, blah blah blah, right? And you have some sort of role here, of some sort of, like I said, role to play. So okay, so there's a role, there's a script. How do we figure out what that is? Well, upon studying things like astrology, numerology, name decodes for words, for just letters, for languages in general, you find that there are certain things already coded into the actual word, right? The actual language, your birthday. I believe I've discovered what seems to be the closest and most accurate method of decoding the script, the energies that are going to come your way, that are pushing you into a certain role and moving you from role to role, from area to area, from event to event in your life. And that is through Vedic astrology and Vedic numerology. And I found really great accuracy. I mean, if you go to a very skilled Vedic astrologer, they can take your life bit by bit and say, okay, this happened, and this happened. Is that true? And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That's yes. That's a definite yes. And people with psychic capabilities can see these things. But the problem with people with psychic abilities is that some people have natural abilities, and some people, wow, that was weird, shut off. And some people have like kind of like parasitic entity capabilities, which that is kind of analogous to them having, let's say, cameras in your room, right? It seems like they're psychic, but really they have these entities that they're tapping into that have been kind of spying on you in a sense, and then they relay that information through, you know, their perception, their receptors. So in essence, these people aren't necessarily like the most spiritually advanced or just benevolent people. And I've experienced this firsthand, trusting these people more than I do my own self, my own intuition. And I got burned for that because I learned that these people don't always have the best interest for you, or even if they do, they can be intercepted because they haven't dealt with their own things, and it's kind of like the entities will pull their strings, will facilitate their thoughts to influence you because you're so easily influenced by them. You've given your power away, right? You don't trust yourself, and you rely on these people outside of yourself for answers, right? So I got burned with that, and that really pushed me to look deeper into this false light and to what's going on behind the curtain, trying to really figure out who is this Wizard of Oz, since there is all this false light going around and deception. And you know, I was really capped out in a positive level because I was refusing to go back deeper within myself to then go higher, right? That's what I believe happens after death as well, where people want that positivity, and they can bombard you with that, they being these entities. And you know, you can be given this false light all of a sudden, or feels very positive, feels very real, but really it's a trap or it's some sort of deception, and it sucks you back into here, right? All these people, they keep reincarnating. Well, obviously there's something going on. We're not learning anything. We just hop back in here, don't remember anything, and then they're like, oh, well, go back. You know, you got a mission, you got something to do, and then you don't remember what the heck you were supposed to do. So what was the point of coming here if I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to do? Which means there's something deeper going on. You know, there's some sort of energy loose, right? The same thing that's happening on this earth is happening in the astrals. It's a chain of command. It's a very similar game plan that they're running on both planes, right? So that's what I'm kind of trying to say with this whole scripted life type of thing. It's a play that you may potentially have been deceived into, right? They feed off the ego's desires and impulses, and they say, okay, well, this will happen to you, this will happen to you afterwards, you can realize this, you may have these setbacks as challenges and traumas to kind of push you to grow in a sense, but really it's just a never-ending cycle. You're born into some trauma with your family, right? Let's say experience some difficult trauma, and let's say it pushes you to grow. Well, then you just do it all again the next life. Like, what was the point of that? You're already a soul on an infinite plane that has infinite experiences. Why do they have to be negative? And why are we experiencing all this trauma to then fracture ourselves, fractalize our consciousness just so we can piece it back together? You know, that sounds a bit deceptive and cyclical, right? There's no growth happening. It's the illusion of movement and of growth, but just running in circles. Because I don't remember what the heck was wrong with me in the past life. I don't remember. Yeah, I have some tendencies that I may have picked up from my ancestors naturally, but I didn't, like, why would I agree to something like that? Why would I be really convinced and rushed into such a plan without given the, you know, appropriate time to think about these things to really make a good decision? And why don't I have more answers and knowledge of who I was or what is really going on this earth? It's like they throw you into a trap and expect you to get out of it. Well, hold on a second. You know, there should be some sort of help along the way, or some sort of guidance, but it's like people wake up. Yeah, I believe they have a predisposition to waking up, yet all these things still happen. You're still fighting against your ego in a sense, and you can still fall right back into the trap and just keep going again and again and again, right? So in terms of that, what could potentially happen after death is that, just like how we have to go deeper within ourselves, we may have to go deeper into an abyss, back, into the darkness, to then go out. So think of it like a Taurus, where if you go straight up, you'll hit the cap, you'll hit the limit, right? But if you go down, you kind of gain momentum, and you shoot back up with enough acceleration potentially to make it out of this overlay, right? Because I do believe 4D, 3D has been overlaid with potentially AI technology, or some sort of device that is really draining us of energy, right? Draining. You go to work, you eat, come home, whatever, go to sleep, do it again. This is a parasitic society, really. And just by seeing how these entities affect, especially the spiritually gifted people, because they really push to control them, manipulate them to manipulate other groups. So even when you awaken, figuratively, or in quotation marks, you don't really awaken, because you can just fall into another trap, and another trap along the way. And there are so many traps along the way until you fully have the courage to look into yourself. And I've even heard of the potential of there being some sort of guardian in the afterlife that fully makes sure you have zero ego left to actually exit this samsara, right? The Buddhists call it a samsara, and then you see clearly the giant demon kind of feeding upon the cycle. And we see through the cycle the ages, where it gets better, it gets better, it gets better, and all of a sudden it starts getting worse and worse, and then to its lowest point, and it repeats, right? The illusion of movement. Oh, civilization growing. Oh, look how much peace we created, and all of a sudden you get invaded or something. You become complacent in some way, or you get reset, right? You really need to study history, how civilizations have actually thrived long before we think civilization started. We've actually had and reached technological points as a civilization, to where we have the same things we have now, like actual barcodes and things like that, or AI or whatever, where we thought we were technologically advanced. You just go back to Atlantis or things like that. But again, that's technological advancement without necessarily the spiritual advancement. And even then we got invaded. But what I'm trying to say is, we got reset all these times, multiple at clinical points, as if someone was preventing us from something. Whether they were benevolent or malevolent, they wwere still preventing us from something, from a critical point in our evolution, let's say. And just describing the bodies in general, they are clearly right in your face, implanted with a reptilian brain, right? We kind of were interfered with on a DNA level for the purpose of having this reptilian ego implant, for whatever purpose, whether it was to create, and not just us, all beings on this planet, more than likely for the purpose, like I said, of that loosh harvesting. Okay, so upon realizing that your life really is a script. Oh, lights are getting darker. Upon realizing that your life is a script, you kind of have to say, okay, do I want to continue playing this role? Is this really what my higher purpose is? What is written in my astrology that, oh, I have to go chase that and become that? Or is that really just something that they want you to follow, right? So the first thing one can really do is find out the script, figure out what is going on, right? If you need help with that, I can do that. In terms of numerology and astrology, we can accurately pinpoint all the things happening in your life, your qualities, your strengths, your weaknesses, obstacles, setbacks, things to come, things that happened, and how to use them to your advantage rather than, let's say, other beings' advantage to catch you off guard, in a sense, right? Because if I don't know, your character is going to go through some major setback in the play, let's say, then you can be much better prepared for it. You can learn to detach from situations. You can learn to not give these intense charges, right? Because we are temples, right? The temples. We are batteries. We are acidic and alkaline. We are literally energy sources, right? And if you learn to control that energy sources and maintain it for your own being and connect to your higher self, download that into this incarnation, you are much better off in terms of discernment and sovereignty, right? So that's really what I've been trying to do for myself, and the more I discover, the more I can share with others. But really, that's where I'm at right now, and that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to relay to you guys. So I hope you gain some value out of this, maybe something thought-provoking and something to think about for later on. Really chew on this, see how it fits for you. And it's just another puzzle piece that I've been holding, right? I don't hold beliefs anymore because they be lying to you. I just hold puzzle pieces and I try to connect them. The more puzzle pieces you gather, the more puzzles puzzles you can make, right? And it's all about just connecting everything, really, because this whole experience is really a bit of a mystery. We don't know much, right? So if you enjoyed, leave a comment. If you have any questions, just want to talk, whatever, leave a comment and subscribe. This was a late night get together, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good night.